The silence before the storm. The cargo ship Luminous Hope drifted peacefully through the Sector 9 trading lanes, its sleek bioorganic hull shimmering with the soft blue glow characteristic of Valerii craftsmanship. Captain Elora stood in the living control chamber, her tall, slender frame relaxed as she monitored the vital signs of the ship itself. The Valerii didn't build vessels, they grew them, nurturing living structures that responded to thought and touch. Elora's silver eyes reflected the starlight streaming through the transparent sections of the hull. After 300 cycles serving as a merchant captain, she had never experienced anything more threatening than a solar storm. Her people, the Valerii, had achieved spaceflight 2,000 years ago, spreading peacefully across 12 colony worlds. They were scientists, artists, and healers. The very concept of warfare existed only in their ancient historical archives, stories of primitive times long forgotten. Her second officer, a young male named Torin, worked at the navigation nexus, his fingers gently pressed against the pulsing biointerface. His empathic connection with the ship allowed him to sense every course correction, every subtle shift in the stellar winds. The Luminous Hope carried medical supplies, rare healing crystals, and educational materials bound for the outer colonies. It was routine work, the kind that filled Elora with quiet satisfaction. "Captain, we're approaching the Helios Passage," Torin announced, his voice carrying the musical quality typical of their species. "All systems report optimal health. We should reach the Tertian colony in approximately 6 orbital periods." Elora nodded, allowing herself a moment of contentment. The Helios Passage was a particularly beautiful stretch of space, where 3 nebulae created a spectacular display of colors against the darkness. She had traveled this route hundreds of times, and it never failed to inspire wonder. In the lower chambers, Engineer Vela tended to the ship's core systems, adjusting nutrient flows and ensuring the living vessel remained comfortable and healthy. Beside her, young Mira, barely into her adult years, studied bioengineering principles on a holographic display. Mira was brilliant, one of the most promising scientists of her generation, eager to learn everything about Valerii biotechnology. "Engineer Vela, do you ever wonder what exists beyond our explored territories?" Mira asked, her curiosity evident in the way her bioluminescent markings flickered with excitement. "The ancient archives mention thousands of species we've never contacted." Vela smiled gently. "The galaxy is vast, little one. Our people prefer depth to breadth, perfecting our understanding of life rather than rushing to explore every corner of space. Besides, the Galactic Concordance maintains peaceful relations among all known species. We have nothing to fear out here." Those words would haunt Vela within the hour. The transformation happened without warning. Space itself seemed to tear open like a wound in reality. Massive vessels emerged from the darkness, their hulls jagged and aggressive, covered in weapon arrays and armored plating that spoke of violence and conquest. They surrounded the Luminous Hope in seconds, moving with predatory precision. Torin's hands jerked away from the navigation interface as if burned. His empathic connection with the ship flooded him with pure terror, the vessel itself sensed mortal danger. "Captain. Unknown ships. They're everywhere." Elora's silver eyes widened as the tactical display illuminated before her. 15 warships, each 3 times the size of her merchant vessel, had formed a perfect encirclement. Their design was brutal and efficient, nothing like the elegant curves of Valerii biotechnology or the friendly geometries of other concordant species. These ships were built for one purpose: domination. A harsh voice crackled through the communication systems, overriding their frequencies with aggressive force. The language was unknown, but the ship's translation matrix quickly processed it. The words that emerged were cold and final. "Valerii vessel, you will cease all movement immediately. Your ship and cargo now belong to the Zethrak Collective. Resistance will result in your immediate destruction. Compliance may result in your survival. You have 30 seconds to respond." Elora's hands trembled as she activated the communication array. Throughout her 3 centuries of life, she had never faced anything like this. The Valerii had no weapons, no shields, no military protocols. They were utterly defenseless. Unknown vessels, this is Captain Elora of the Valerii merchant ship Luminous Hope. We are peaceful traders carrying humanitarian supplies to our colonies. We mean no harm and pose no threat. Please, there is no need for violence. We can negotiate. The transmission cut off as one of the warships fired. The beam wasn't designed to destroy, merely to demonstrate power. It struck the Luminous Hope's secondary propulsion node, causing the living ship to convulse in agony. The pain transmitted through the empathic links, causing every Valerii aboard to cry out in sympathetic suffering. Torin collapsed to his knees, overwhelmed by the ship's pain. Tears streamed down his face as he felt the vessel's confusion and fear. The Luminous Hope didn't understand violence, it had never experienced deliberate harm in all its years of existence. A new image appeared on the holographic display. A creature unlike any in Valerii experience stared at them with eyes that held no compassion, no curiosity, only cold calculation. The being was heavily scaled, with pronounced ridges running across its skull and shoulders. Its teeth were visible even when its mouth was closed, the teeth of a predator. "I am War Leader Vaxer of the Zethrak Collective," the creature announced, its voice carrying absolute authority. "Your pathetic appeals mean nothing. We are conquerors. We take what we desire from the weak. Your colonies will be absorbed into our domain. Your resources will fuel our expansion. You will serve us or be eliminated. This is the natural order of the universe, the strong devour the weak." Elora forced herself to stand tall despite her terror. "Please, War Leader Vaxer, our people have nothing you need. We have no military, no weapons, no means to threaten you. Surely peaceful cooperation would benefit both our species more than violence." Vaxer's expression might have been amusement, it was difficult to tell with his alien features. "Cooperation? You misunderstand your position entirely. You have no choice to offer. You have no leverage. You are prey, and we are predators. In one orbital period, our invasion fleet will arrive at your colony worlds. They will surrender immediately, or we will demonstrate the cost of resistance by destroying your orbital habitats. Millions will die. The choice is theirs." The transmission ended abruptly. The Zethrak warships maintained their positions, weapons locked on the Luminous Hope, making any escape impossible. Elora slumped into her command chair, her mind racing through impossible scenarios. They had no weapons to fight with, no speed to flee with, no bargaining power to negotiate with. Vela rushed onto the command deck, young Mira close behind her. The engineer's usually calm demeanor had cracked, revealing raw fear beneath. "Captain, the ship is severely damaged. The propulsion node will require days to heal, and we don't have the resources here to help it properly. We're trapped." Myra's scientific curiosity managed to pierce through her terror. "Captain, I've been analyzing their communication protocols. The Zethrak have conquered 17 star systems in the past 50 cycles. Every species they've encountered has been peaceful, focused on science and art rather than warfare. They specifically target defenseless civilizations. Can we send a distress signal?" Elora asked, knowing the answer but needing to hear it anyway. Torin checked the communication systems, his hands still shaking. "Our primary transmitter was damaged in the attack. We have emergency backup systems, but they're short range. The nearest Concordance outpost is 12 light-years away. They'll never receive it in time." Silence fell over the command chamber. Every Valerii aboard understood their situation. They would be captured, their colonies invaded, their people enslaved or killed. And there was nothing they could do to stop it. Mira suddenly straightened, her bioluminescent markings flickering rapidly, a sign of intense thought. "Captain, there might be one option. My grandfather served on the first Concordance diplomatic missions, back when new species were still being contacted. He told me stories about the emergency protocols established in those early days." "What kind of protocols?" Elora asked, grasping at any possibility. The young scientist moved to a console, her fingers dancing across the biointerface. When the concordance was formed, they knew that peaceful species needed protection. But most members had no military capability, they'd never developed weapons because they'd never needed them. So the concordance reached out to species that were different. Species that understood warfare. She pulled up archived files, data that was decades old and rarely accessed. There were emergency codes established, frequencies that would reach specific protector species who had volunteered to respond to existential threats. The codes have never been used in our sector, we've never needed them. Vela moved closer, studying the files. These codes are 40 cycles old. What if no one is monitoring them anymore? What if these protector species have forgotten about us? Myra's markings pulsed with determination. What if they haven't? We have nothing to lose. If the signal goes unanswered, we're no worse off than we are now. But if someone responds? Elora made her decision instantly. Do it. Send the emergency signal on all the protector frequencies. Include our coordinates, our situation, and the threat assessment. Make it clear that civilian populations are at immediate risk. Torin worked quickly, routing power to the backup communication systems. Captain, I can boost the signal strength by drawing power from non-essential systems. It will drain our reserves, but the message will reach farther. Do whatever is necessary, Elora commanded. Mira accessed the ancient protocols, her scientific mind working through code architecture that was older than she was. She found multiple emergency frequencies, each one tagged with a species designation and threat level requirements. Most were standard concordance members, peaceful species with modest defensive capabilities. But one frequency was different. It was marked with symbols she barely recognized, warning indicators that suggested caution. The species designation was simple: humanity. The homeworld was listed as Earth, classified as a Class 12 Death World. The notes attached to the frequency were brief but unsettling: contact only in case of existential threat to concordance members. Species possesses advanced military capability. Approach with diplomatic courtesy. Response time, variable. Reliability, absolute. What's a death world? Mira asked, her curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. Vela accessed the classification system. Her eyes widened as she read. It's a planet classified as extremely hostile to life. High gravity, aggressive predators, extreme environmental conditions. Most civilized species couldn't survive on such worlds. But if life evolves there, it becomes exceptionally resilient and dangerous. Mira included the human emergency frequency in her transmission, along with all the others. The message was simple and desperate: this is the Valerii merchant vessel Luminous Hope. We are under attack by the Zethrak Collective. Our colonies face invasion and possible genocide. We are a peaceful species with no military capability. We request immediate assistance under Concordance Emergency Protocol 7. Civilian casualties are imminent. Please help us. The signal transmitted across space, bouncing through relay networks and ancient communication satellites. Most of the protector species' frequencies were inactive, the defensive pacts established decades ago had faded as peace persisted. The message scattered into the void, reaching toward civilizations that might no longer exist or care. But on one frequency, in a region of space most Concordance members never visited, something stirred to life. An automated monitoring station detected the transmission. Its systems, designed to remain vigilant across decades, recognized the emergency codes immediately. The message was analyzed, authenticated, and forwarded through channels that few in the galaxy knew existed. Deep within a heavily fortified station orbiting a yellow star, alarms began to sound for the first time in 40 years. Personnel who had trained their entire careers for a call that might never come suddenly found themselves racing to battle stations. The sleeping guardians of the Concordance were awakening. And they were not pleased. Aboard the Luminous Hope, the Valerii crew could only wait. Alora ordered everyone to remain calm, to conserve resources, to hope for the impossible. Young Mira whispered a silent prayer to whatever forces might be listening, begging for someone to have heard their cry for help. In the darkness of space, the Zethrak warships maintained their vigilant watch, completely unaware that they had just made the worst mistake in their species' history. They had threatened the innocent while humanity was listening. The predators were about to learn what it meant to be prey.